just let it happen on its own. That's why we need you.
30 minutes over a cup of coffee. Queen to H5 at the park. Thumbs up emojis, clapping emojis, confetti emojis. Loaded nachos at halftime. A spin dash for the win. Best 2 out of 3. And the time it takes to enjoy a slice or two, you can make a difference. Because yeah, mentorship sounds huge, but the truth is, it takes little to be big.
Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, children of all ages, and thank you for tuning in to another broadcast of the Premier Ultimate League live from Indianapolis. I'm Charlie Lowe. With me, as always, Kristen KK Kovic.
Hi.
And KK, always a pleasure to be here with you.
It's a pleasure.
And we are excited to bring you this contest between the Indianapolis Red and the Milwaukee Monarchs, one of the more feisty rivalries in the PUL the last couple seasons.
I think so. We're going to expect some spiciness, and I'm looking forward to it.
These teams very, very, very familiar with each other, despite a lot of roster, you could call it turnover, you could call it hired guns, you could call it just taking advantage of a surprisingly deep region. Indy Red featuring a lot of new names and faces, but a lot of players who are familiar with the Milwaukee Monarchs from playing with the Columbus Pride, playing down in Nashville, playing here in Indy, playing up in Michigan. Milwaukee Monarchs always pulling lots of Chicago talent and lots of local Wisconsin talent as well, trying to save who they can from getting plucked up by Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful day here in Indianapolis. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, the tank is clean, and notably from Coach Jackie Lai of the Indy Red, this is our first contest with, nice weather.
I love it so much, and I know the players are really happy about this. I think literally the only problem we might have today is some heat, maybe some gusty winds, but other than that, it's a perfect day, and I'm glad to be here. I know that it's easier for travel, it's easier to play, and it's easier for the fans too, so happy to be here for that.
So give us the first-hand kind of thoughts that you've got as someone who's played in this league and is familiar with the competition level. When you walk outside onto the pitch on a day like this, light, maybe call it a thrower's breeze, 8 to 10 miles an hour, and that's only during the gusts. What's going through your mind when the disc hits your hands?
I think both teams are going to run through as many options as they can. But, I did have a chance to talk to Coach John earlier today, my partner as well, and he was telling me there isn't necessarily a specific look they're trying to look for. Since it is a beautiful day, there's going to be a lot of options for their throwers and their cutters, so it's going to be a matter of adjusting in the moment.
Having lots of options, I think, is the name of the game. You and I both observed as we were, taking a look over the Monarchs roster. This is a deep and long team that has showed up to play against the Red today, and
yeah.
Coach Caitlin Murphy confirmed that almost with a kind of rueful grin on her face. We are a deep team. We go a full 20-something, I didn't count them out, players deep, and we're hoping to get contributions from everybody up and down the roster. What affects your mindset when you know that you can go to players 1 through 24?
First of all, I would be delighted to see if they use their entire roster. I think ideally they would like to use their entire roster, but I do think this is going to be a really close game, and I would like to see them put their money where their mouth is as far as playing the entire roster, especially during a tight, close game, because I think teams have a tendency to play some of their better players, their top 8 or 10 people, when it's a tight game. So I would love to see them stretch the roster, and since they do have so many people who showed up today, I would expect them to also probably have plenty of looks. They have different offenses, different defenses, and different types of and styles of people who are playing together today.
One of the very exciting things about Frisbee's explosion and exploration into the premier, into the pro and premier space is that teams are formed radically differently than they are during kind of, what we're used to in the club season, which you might see teams that are importing talent from other places, but really you see tons and tons and tons of players, looking to make the best teams they can, but with their friends or with the people that are local to them. But we've seen lots of movement around these teams, starting with the Monarchs. Aaron Schrader was a stalwart down with the Atlanta Soul for several years before making their way back up to playing with the Monarchs the last couple seasons. Penny Wu back with the Milwaukee Monarchs this season after spending last season with San Diego Super Bloom and playing in the Western Ultimate League for a couple seasons as well. Meanwhile, there's players that we consider to be, as we
wow,
get
the
the
crowd
opening.
brought some noisemakers, huh?
Yeah, people are getting excited out there for some Ultimate Frisbee today. Kind of continuing on, we've got tons of Chicago talent. Anna Thorne, JJ Jarek, Anna Stubbs, all, longtime names playing with Chicago Nemesis. At the same time over on the Indy Red, we've got hybrid presence. We've got Tracy Lowe. We've got Kat McGuire. We've got LG, Laura Garanser. You got local talent like Lily Hobday playing up at Notre Dame, Lauren Kitten, who played on Purdue for a long time.
And guess who got pulled up for the roster today? Jamie Smets.
The Jamie Smets back at it again. We'll see whether or not that was a good decision from Coach Jackie Lai and Coach Blake today. But
I'm sure it will play out in our favor.
Jamie Smets may be the most competitive, not competitive person that's ever existed.
It's true.
It'll be really fun for some of the younger players to get to play with a veteran like that. But it's just one of the fun things to see here. We do want to take an opportunity to shout out today that for those of you who also follow the UFA and some of the other pro leagues, today in Indianapolis we have a double header. So after this contest here with the Indianapolis Red, if you're tuning in from Indianapolis, maybe consider driving over to Kuntz Stadium. This is where the Indy 11 play, our semi-professional soccer team. After this game ends, hang around for half an hour to an hour, and then watch the Indianapolis Alley Cats play in their contest this afternoon. Have a cold beverage, enjoy the view from the stands, and watch as we settle into golden hour with the sun behind us. It's beautiful here. Great place to watch a game. Have you been to an Indy 11 game, KK?
A long time ago, yeah. I was over by when they were playing over by IUPUI over at NIFS, the gym. But I like this location. It's pretty close to downtown.
We're directly across the street. Little history for all of you not familiar with Indianapolis and our history. We're across the street from Stadium Lofts Apartments, which used to be the local stadium for the Indianapolis Indians, which is the it's Old Bush Stadium, which is where the Indianapolis Indians used to play before they converted those into apartments, and the Indianapolis Indians moved over to Victory Field.
We got some fans trickling in. Some of the Alley Cats here to cheer on their local Indy Red team.
It can't be understated how important it is to have unity and mutual support between the local organizations. It's the thing that makes Frisbee better, and something that the Red and the Alley Cats have really been working toward this season, kind of started a little bit last season, is hey, we're better when we operate together as a community and we support each other, we make each other better, and it's great to see the Alley Cats out here. It'll be great to see the Red in the stands at the next game. And it's just going to be a great day of Frisbee here. Let's turn our attention towards the game. What's something that we should be looking for? You've got the secrets, KK. What's something that we should be looking for the Red to do that maybe the coaches wouldn't tell us in an official interview? What's more of the under the off the record, hey, we're trying to get some of this done this afternoon?
I think at this point it's They're looking at specific players, some of their key players, some of their key throwers, like Schrader, who we obviously know wants to put up a huge backhand huck towards the end zone. So they're looking at specific players, and then they're going to put in a specific matchup against those players to try to shut down or confuse or make those throws a little bit harder. I think potentially a person defense, but also they have tools in their back pockets about team defensive plays. So not necessarily a lockdown defense, but more of a poaching off the handlers or more of a zone look. I think they do have a couple zone looks that you could play in weather like this. I know it's not super windy, but even if it's a little gusty, both teams, I think, might actually struggle with this a little bit because even though, of course, you have both teams that have strong hands, there's maybe one or two people who you can trust to put it deep on both teams. So they're going to try to force the disc to be in the people's hands that are a little less sure.
I like that. I think that you're absolutely right. It's one of the things that's really, really tough when the weather is on the fringe of being something you can use to your advantage versus on the line of, hey, it's a beautiful day and I'm looking to put. Turning your focus from the uncontrollable to the controllable. Who are we looking to shut down? How are we adjusting our marks? What kind of degree of shading do I need to have to take away this throw and make sure I don't get burned on the around look? We know that the Monarchs are looking to spread the field wide and spread the field deep. Those kind of angles that you take setting up against your mark, the angles you take marking the person with the disc, the thrower, it's all going to be hugely important today.
I also think that this is also going to be a mental battle. We talked about that this is sort of an in-region rivalry, and it's true. I really think that there are some people on this team, when you're playing each other, there's just an extra level of not animosity, but spice. I mean, fire, because you've played against these people before. You've had moments. Here we go. First pull of the game.
Absolutely. First pull is up. Sails across midfield on a nice high backhand. Anna Thorne with the disc in their hand, and we're off and running. Disc swung to the far side of the field. Nice intense mark from Lily Hobday. Wide, long shot. Out of the hands of the Monarchs receiver. That is Aaron Schrader, and we are off and running. Nice inside look for the Indy Red. Lily Hobday takes an opportunity, looking a little bit more dump early. Shows us that we may have some things that we're looking for, but she's back with the disc in her hand. Little early, every other from Lily Hobday. Disc is up the field. There's Riley Kuznicki. Told to look out for Kuz, getting tons of blocks today. It's going to be exciting to watch. Disc is ahead. Sammy Phillips doesn't like the up line look. Moves inside. And there it is, early goal from the Indianapolis Red. Most importantly, that's a break. Eliza Hutchings, St. Louis's own, and the Indy Red are on the board, 1-0. And as we take a look at this, watch the upline cut from Sammy Phillips. Just a little bit of a bounce, moves up the line. Nice and patient, advances the disc ahead, and then just easy across cut for Eliza Hutchings. Gets there at the front cone. And that's an early break for the Indianapolis Red, 1-0 already.
I'm pretty impressed by that defensive offense. For Red, they looked pretty clean. They were giving each other space. They were trusting their throwers. They weren't clogging in the space, so that's a good sign.
I'm going to nitpick the most nitpicky of nitpicky things right now.
Okay, what is it? Tell me.
I cannot stand the numbers on the jerseys for the Monarchs.
Oh, no.
These
They had to read.
Blue with no boundary on gray jerseys. Compare that to the white against the dark background for the Red. Not impossible, just something that we're going to pay attention to. Anna Thorne, disc in the middle of the field. Restarting the O-line attack. Same exact play as last time. Doesn't yield anything again. Got to wonder if they're going to turn that one in for the day. Red advancing. Lexi Thomas, disc in her hand. Big around throw. Little wide. And Risa, we don't get a classic bid from Risa Umeno.
Just a little too far.
There's the wind kicking in.
It looks like they're trying to work the break side. I wonder if it's the wind that's popping it up or if it's a misread. Oh, wow. That doinked right off of Thorne's hands.
Third time was the charm. Thorne to Schrader and didn't get it back. Aired out by Hobday. Jamie Smets does not want to leg it out. She's earned the right to not do that
fast,
every so often.
Fast, but not that fast.
I guarantee that turns into a huge Smets block later on today.
And it's also indicative of defensive's pick up and go strategy. I think we might see a lot more of that. They're going to try to push the pace.
Gorgeous around backhand from Anna Thorne. Disc on the low sideline for the Monarchs. Pressure mounting. Excellent mark from Hobday. Giving chase across the field. Disc going back. That's number 82,
big
Claire
backhand
Schmidt.
put up by Schmidt.
Who's in the
Lexi
area?
almost had it. Came down with it.
A little bit of a roof job. There's Austin Pruka. Disc in her hands.
Monarchs is looking to give hands space.
Crossfield shot to Schrader all alone. What a
layout bid. And a goal. Did not get eaten up by the turf monster.
Did not get eaten up by the turf monster. Watch out. You hear the Jaws music start playing if they're tooling around. But a goal. Third time is the charm there for the Monarchs as we get another look at this. And this is a really nice crossfield shot. A little bit dangerous with players running through the lane, but Schrader's ability to immediately pick up and go, advance the disc ahead for the goal. Took a little bit more work than maybe they wanted to, but, you know, all that matters in love and baseball is goals, and that's 1-1 for the Monarchs.
It seems to me as though Schrader, Schmidt, both of them like to boost it. So to me, it looks like they're trying to play a little bit more conservative, which isn't necessarily their style. And we'll see if that works out for them. Maybe trying to boost it a little bit more will work out in their favor.
We're seeing some of what Coach DJ for the Monarchs, who spends a lot of time with the O-line, was talking to us about earlier in the game. They're looking for those big inside shots. As we get our first look at a pull from Penny Wu. Sails full field almost effortlessly. Fielded by the Red in their own end zone. Ahead to Tracy Lowe, and we're getting our first look at the Red O-line. Big old flick from T. Lowe. Disc is moved ahead. That's Rachel Mast on the low sideline. T. Lowe gets open. Being chased around by the Monarchs. Works the break side ahead to Makeda Matamore. Takes a little inside shot to Shani Rosenthal.
Somehow pinching themselves on the break side sideline, which is hard to do. But when you have a lefty handler like T-Lo.
Space a little bit clogged for the Red, but quick, sharp, decisive cuts. Get them out of it, and that's a goal for the Indianapolis Red, but it looks like we're going to get it back on a pit call. Officials signaling.
Did look a little too open, but that's Jello.
That reminds me
Ellie.
of that old joke from School of Rock. You turn the cello on its side, and Jello, you've got a bass.
I think there was a call down. There was a down call because it looked like it bladed out a little bit, and they're saying it probably touched some grass.
Also seeing another indication of a pit call. Red players doing their best to take advantage of some of the confusion. The Monarchs just not having it.
But Champ seems to be able to throw both the flick and the backhand, and you have Kat who put their defender in a blender, which is a John Jones coined term. So I'm gonna make sure he gets credit for that.
Defender, blender, moneylender, doesn't matter. Red in 5. So once we're finally able to clear out some of these picks, Kat McGuire takes just a little bit of jab to her right-hand side, our left-hand side, and then almost on a dime, full body around, and just darts up the line. Makes sure to pay attention to her feet as she grabs the goal. Easy hold, not without a little bit of discussion, but the Red are up 2-1, and most importantly, it was clean. When the sun is shining and it's beautiful outside, clean holds are the name of the game. They're going to become something of a premium item today as teams look to take shots.
Energetically, Red feels like they have the momentum. I mean, they are ahead, but you can just tell there's an extra oomph behind their cuts, behind their throws. There's a drive there, and I really want Monarchs to step up to the plate here and try to match that. We know this is a game of swings.
Literally and figuratively.
That's right.
All right,
of
Schrader,
momentum swings.
Schrader disc on the sideline. Doesn't take the up line to Anna Thorne. Big cross to the middle. JJ Jarek boosts straight ahead downfield and finds her player who looks like they're also in a JJ jersey. But that's a goal off a crisp huck from Jacqueline Jarek. 2-2. Indy Red tied with the Milwaukee Monarchs. So we see Grace Fian advance the disc, and just without a second thought, the disc is out of JJ's hands. And it looks like that was up to number 22, Alex Ballinger. So
they had really nice separation on the deep cut. I'd be intrigued to see how Red's defense is going to adjust to this, because it does look like their deep cuts have been pretty open. Mm-hmm. So that could be purposeful, and they might try to change that up midway.
It's not a secret that these teams have a rivalry. They always end up in the same division whenever the PUL kind of shifts around where teams are. They're very familiar with each other's games, and we're still in the early stage of this game. Teams feeling each other out, trying to figure out who wants what and is looking for what. Another pull up from Penny Wu. Little less edge this time, settles nicely into a flat throw. Little bit of a bobble. That was
almost a drop pull, which can be devastating.
You know what? I feel like you get the same emotions out on the bobble the way that you do on the actual drop.
Visionary throw with Kat.
And another one from McKenna Mattamore, and just like that, the Red 4 throws, and we're back on the board up 3-2. Shout out to the Mattamore supporters with the Vuvuzuelas in the crowd today. And you blink and you miss it. McGuire, nice OIO shot up to Mattamore. Really quick inside flick over to Squid and then to Jello, and we are back on the board. It's about that fast.
I'm not sure if there's a miscommunication with Monarchs defense or if they're trying to poach in the lanes to kind of slow those passes down. But it looked maybe the disc was too far ahead, and Monarchs were kind of dropping down to try to contain and stop the next throw, but it didn't seem to work out for them that time.
It's pretty common for teams that roster players with the stature of a Penny Wu to sit them almost in like drop coverage in the backfield. I wonder if we're going to see a little bit more of that from the Monarchs today, because it is a huge deterrent to deep looks unless you have throwers and receivers the quality of the Red. Aaron Schrader so fast to that disc despite this pressure from Jamie Smets. Still stuck on that forced sideline of the Monarchs, but they seem pretty comfortable working it there. Disc advanced up line. High pressure from Lexi Thomas. And there's our first swing back. Not even to the middle of the field, but there we go. Spreading it to the other side. Schrader. And that is over. 3-3. The Monarchs tie it back up.
Beautiful around throw from Schrader.
And I'm not going to say too much about that. Looks like Rose Glinka shaking Risa Umeno as we get our look at this replay. You know, Austin Pruka moves it around to Aaron Schrader, and that is to the break side. So losing your defender, having that couple steps going towards the open side, not necessarily something Risa should kick herself about, but something we know that she's going to be paying attention to, because that's the intensity that rivalries bring out in these players. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Discraft. The Discraft Ultrastar is the official disc of the Premier Ultimate League. Discraft, the world leader in disc sports. Tuning back in, 7 minutes left in the first quarter. Indy Red and the Milwaukee Monarchs tied at threes. Indy Red with the only break of today's contest so far, having started on defense.
We got Ramon in the YouTube live chat. Good luck, Monarchs. Number 72, hashtag wings out, crowns on. Sorry for butchering that.
Big fake from McKenna Mattamore, and a lot of contention there.
No contest with the hands out.
Really like the integrity there from Dory Chan, admitting that maybe got a little bit handsier with that play than they wanted. Swing from Tilo, nice sliding grab from Squid.
I'd like to see some defensive pressure from Monarchs. Let's see if they can put in some work here. Red seems to be grinding it out on the offense. And person defense, I don't see anything too crazy yet from both teams. It just seems like strong person defense.
What we see here is a lot of dedication to momentum from the red. When they start committing to a swing, it's less exploratory and it's more decisive. So we see lots of, great, we have worked up the break side over to and up the break side to its natural conclusion. When we start swinging, the entire offense kind of operating with the same brainwaves is hard committing. Everything is reshifting. All of our cuts, the in cuts, the swing cuts, the overcuts, everything is hard committing to that next side, that reversal of field. And what it does is it forces the entire defense to account for every one of your players shifting with that kind of a wave. And if any one of them gets caught looking or not reacting fast enough, the avalanche just starts to go. Pull goes up for the Indy Red. Annie Mylink getting a lot of the pulling duties today. Maybe a little bit of a travel there on the gather from the Monarchs, but we're not going to gnash our teeth too much about it. Anna Thorne swings the disc over.
Looks like their offensive system is pretty structured. You know, Anna working in the middle. 82, Claire Schmidt working on the left side.
And we're getting our first look at the Indy Red zone today. Trying to slow things down, not get some of these quick 4-throw goals out of the Monarchs. So far it's working. We've definitely seen the Monarchs throw more than 4 times. And it succeeds. Anna Thorne lets the disc between their hands, drops down, and the Red are back in action. Mylink with the disc in the middle of the field off the swing from Umeno. Big throw goes up.
Wow.
Lily Hobday.
That was tipped. Not in. And to Jamie Smets, who was ready for that not in call. Sometimes you get, you know, when the call isn't quite sure, you have people who kind of stop running. And so it's always important to stay with the play, even if you're not sure what the call is.
Yeah, and as we see on our replay there, it was the trailing foot from Hobday firmly planted on the goal line. Excellent call from the officials today to make sure, hey, you were not all the way in, despite the fact that 97% of your body was in there. And then, honestly, fantastic flooding from the Red to recognize just a half second before the Monarchs did, sending 3 to 4 players up there against the Monarchs 2. That's how you win with numbers.
See a bit of a, is this the same offense that they're putting out there for Monarchs? I'm looking to see if they're trying to do some crossover, if they're trying to change up what's happening, because clearly there's some miscommunication happening. And I would like to see some switch-ups, but I don't see any just yet.
Jacqueline Jarek has moved over from the D-line, normally a D-line stalwart, to be on this O-line. We saw her a couple points ago. Austin Pruka also, somebody you might find on a D-line, but has moved over here. Erin Schrader gone from their hands immediately. And just a little bit too far for Alex Ballinger. Seeing Alex become a little bit of a common deep cut goal. Disc is swung over for the Red. Riley Kuznicki almost too high, but pulls it back down. Lily Hobday, disc in her hands on the far side of the field. Working with Sammy Phillips to move the disc up. Pick called. Play will pause for just a moment. Huck goes up from Phillips. Read by Eliza Hutchings, but not quite able to make the play under the defensive pressure from J.J. Jarek.
Really nice defensive pressure. You saw Eliza trying to body a little bit, but then wasn't able to catch up to it after the body. Big around swing. Nice layout grab.
It's almost routine when you see players like Austin Pruka. A little bit of consternation there from Claire Schmidt. Didn't like all the contact from Lily Hobday, but that does not mean that you get 3 free steps up the field.
It's up high. Please be careful.
No complaint.
Pretty safe play. 66.
Yeah, Rachel Graber able to get in there and make that one about as safely as she could. And you see Eliza didn't quite like the speed boost there from Skittles Milton. They're familiar with each other. Eliza just wanted a little bit of a slower paced throw. Skittles, though, recognizing where the defender was, knowing that even though Eliza shook her person free, all these Monarchs defenders are able to make up ground pretty quickly. There needed to be just a little bit of pace on that throw. Just a touch too much. Something to work on over the course of the game. Thorne does not swing around, doesn't want the disc pawed at by Phillips. And just a miscommunication lets the disc fall out of their hand. Rachel Graber ahead to number 23, Lily Hobday. That's another break. 3 on the board today for the Indy Red. We are up 6-3 here in Indianapolis. Let's talk about one real consequence of great weather games. Good weather means high scores.
Yeah. And also it's harder to come back.
And it looked like Thorne knew that they were at the end of their count, wherever the stall was, knowing that it was a little bit high, and got stuck in that disconnect between brain dendrites of, I need to throw this right now, and I shouldn't throw this because my person is turned away. Disc just falls out. I can tell you I've been there any number of times, KK.
Yeah.
This live broadcast of the Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Breakmark Ultimate Apparel. Go to breakmark.com to place your next custom team order or check out the PUL Athlete Collab shops.
Paul Watson in the live stream commentary says, let's go Monarchs.
Not a lot of Indy Red supporters in the YouTube chat today, but that's because they're here sitting in the stands cheering on our players in, honestly, a spectrum of colors. Deflection from Kat McGuire just leaking into that interior space. Disc is picked up by Tracy Lowe, and I'm just now realizing this as we're watching it. This is an Indy Red O-line.
Do you think they're going to call a timeout and put in the D-line?
That's a really great question as we've got Kat McGuire on the goal line looking for someone to get open. Looks for the break. That's Jello. That's a goal. Another Indy Red break, 7-3. And this one from the teeth of the Indy Red O-line stalwarts.
Monarchs is going to have to find a way to dig deep mentally here in order to claw back to make this one close. The energy is a little bit slow. They're walking. You know, you can kind of see body language, and this is a mental game here, and people want to play their best ultimate, but there is also an undertone of, you know, playing for your spot in the region.
100%. It's about pride. It's about demonstrating to the rest of the league, hey, we're here, and, you know, yeah, we can run with Philly. We should probably have won that game. So let's go out and show that we're unflappable in the wind down in Texas, and then let's go, you know, just absolutely stomp on the hearts of our, you know, biggest rival here in our division. It's the kind of statement game that you really look for a team to put on the map as they, you know, march through what is admittedly a very short season. Game 3 of 6 for the Indy Red as that pole sails out of bounds. And to the same point that you just, you know, that you've been making, we're finally getting a look at some different players from the Monarchs. Some rest for Thorne, for Schrader, for Jarek, for Pruka. Sydney French, disc in her hands, advances it up the field, cutting up line, but well marked.
Offense looks like a side stack setup. So they had 2 hot people running kind of in the open field, and then the stack was set up all the way far side of the sideline.
And a long recognized pick call. There's definitely going to be some conversation between Lexi Thomas and Chelsea Twohig about where that disc comes in. High around backhand. Hobday choosing just to set the mark instead.
Red is doing a great job to stop the break throws, really forcing Monarchs to stay on this fourth sideline.
Annika Vermack, just a cheeky little scooper for his swing. Nice flare out from Risu Umeno, but not able to get there in time. But the disc is too far anyway, and Eliza Hutchings able to start her march downfield as we get yet another turnover from the Milwaukee Monarchs.
Just a couple of fundamental mistakes from Monarchs, throwing more into the breadbasket so the person can catch it a little easier. That was a miscommunication from Risa.
Yeah, that was Risa
and
over to Lizzie Tilden.
Which I'm a fan of.
I believe that's our first time seeing Lizzie Tilden today, and sometimes you get those first point jitters. Risa moving just a little bit faster than Lizzie was ready for, and a drop, but a hold for the Monarchs.
And that was Lena Montenegro with the score. I know when you went to talk to the coaches, Lena was one of the people that the coaches said to look out for today.
Yeah, they believe very firmly in their defensive handler set, Lena being one of the, kind of spearheads of that attack. And look at it paying dividends. Lena able to go in and secure a goal, kind of getting the ship righted for this Monarch squad. And we'll see who kind of stays out there, who gets subbed off for this Monarchs team. It doesn't quite feel like it, but we've only got 20 seconds left in this quarter. Monarchs are going to be looking to get a stop early and giving themselves as much time as possible to marshal an attack. The Red have the entire clock until they score,
so a
or
roller,
until they turn it.
Roll or pull usually means a set defensive play. So maybe see a trap here on the sideline.
And more importantly, Tilo willing to take all of her time on the pre-stall and all of their time on the regular stall, I would imagine, because if the clock turns and it's already expired, then it doesn't matter, and they do exactly that. So the Red will be the only possession that we get here in this expired time. Excellent clock management from Tracy Lowe.
It's very true. I think I've been kind of talking about the clock a lot since we've been commentating together, and to actually see someone aware of the time of the game and do something that keeps the other team from scoring is so wise.
Tilo ahead to Champ. Reigns advances it ahead to Kat McGuire. All alone, nobody home. Macaulay Culkin in the house, but a pick called. And it looks like we're going to get a lot of conversation about this because whatever has been called appears to have happened several throws ago. And well executed. Kat, so much gravity that she pulls two defenders her way, and that leaves Squid Logren all alone to catch the second attempt. And that's another goal for the Indianapolis Red.
Scoring at the end of a quarter is critical as far as keeping your lead. Because if you give an opportunity for the other team to score, then we start the next quarter with a very different point diff.
Here from Indianapolis, we'll be right back after some brief ad reads. Thank you for tuning in. City Yoga School of Yoga and Health is a locally owned yoga studio nestled in a peaceful residential neighborhood in downtown Indy. Take a break from the grind and focus on your well-being this summer. Use code RED25, all lowercase, at checkout and enjoy your first yoga class free. Scan the QR code to book today. Thank you to one of our local sponsors, MDMI. MDMI specializes in the design and implementation of tailored data management solutions to unlock the power of data. MDMI's experts work closely with customers to determine how to best capture, activate, and leverage their data to solve complex problems and drive productivity, innovation, and risk management. Visit mdmi.com to learn more. We'd like to thank 3 of our local sponsors today. Thank you to GOO Energy for your in-kind product donation to this year's athletes. Thank you to our fire sponsor, La Margarita in Fountain Square. And finally, thank you to our fire sponsor, Tappers Arcade. Visit them around the Indianapolis area today and get some GOO Energy to get your day going.
"30 minutes over a cup of coffee. Queen to H5 at the park. Thumbs up emojis, clapping emojis, confetti emojis. Loaded nachos at halftime. A spin dash for the win. Best 2 out of 3. And the time it takes to enjoy a slice or two, you can make a difference. Because yeah, mentorship sounds huge, but the truth is, it takes little to be big."
Energy. The only way that you're going to claw back to this to make this a close game is to shift your mindset, shift your mentality, not think about the score. It's 0-0 starting right now.
Climbing out of holes is tremendously difficult. We've seen here in Indy 2 tremendous examples of it and how hard it can be or how rewarding it can be. With the NBA playoffs, for those of you who tune into the men's NBA, Indiana Pacers climbed out of the hole against the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland the other night, and then last night not able to do so. From the jaws of victory to the crushing blows of defeat. Let's see if the Monarchs can do that here, but current problem for the Monarchs is how do we stop Tracy Lowe as they start this right attack?
We have T-Lo, but we also have Jello and Champ on the offense handles now, which used to be Duds, who has a broken hand, and LG, who I think might be out because I'm not sure why, but potentially injury.
Could be injury, could be prep for the club season, could be any number of things, remembering that these athletes are playing in multiple seasons at once a lot of the time. Shania Rosenthal, some of the steadiest hands in the business, able to get her mitts on that one and keep the offense moving. Jello ahead to T-Lo. And we're seeing some different offensive personnel from the Monarchs now, just kind of looking for the players to bring the energy.
I love the defensive pressure from Monarchs right now. Keep it up.
I love the way that Jello goes up 2 hands to receive that disc. Shani, really aware of where her feet are, keeps that in bounds. Over to McKenna Mattimore. Earlier we talked about momentum shifts across the field, and the red right now showing some more of that, but a little bit more willingness to move the disc around. A little bit of conversation from the Monarchs' potential travel call against Mattimore. Looks like that is what is happening. Opting for the swing look, Rachel Mask with the disc in the middle of the field. And there's Mattimore like plucking an apple off a low branch. Just grabs the disc out of the air despite the incoming pressure from the red and the Monarchs, and that's another goal.
Really textbook offense. I don't really have much to say. The swings were there, the open throw was there, the break side was there. They have Jello I'm really impressed with, seems to be having any throw that she wants right now.
We are getting so much incredible decisive cutting from the red right now, is the way that I would lay that out to you. These teams look fast. They are moving with purpose. The red are just about a half second faster, and often that half second is because they're decisive about where they're going to go from the jump. There's a comfortability in the offensive system, a comfortability in knowing who you're playing with, and the Monarchs don't have an answer for that, and if they don't find one soon, this pit's going to continue to grow for them.
It's like the standard O-line for Monarchs right now.
Yeah, we got Fian, Schrader, Thorne, J.J. Jarek out there as well, Claire Schmidt. Boost or be boosted too. Jarek picks it up and rips it, but that disc is going to sail out of bounds, and Skittles doesn't need to do anything except make sure that she's there and just a little bit
Foul, no contest.
of extracurricular
Game
activity.
keeps going. And this is why we have those hand signals, so that's clear to us that we know. Monarchs trying to get a hand in the cookie jar. Red trying to swing it all the way to the other side of the field.
Yeah, just need kind of a full mental reset there, and excellent pressure from J.J. Jarek, but Hobday able to keep her hands on the disc. Hutchings moving it up the field quickly to Milton. Finds Kuznicki, and then there's nobody left in the end zone. We worked through the whole roster. Pit called downfield, players standing and looking for some resolution. Skittles with the disc around the reverse break mark for the red.
Skittles loves the hands in her disc towards the end zone. Annie sure-handed. Swinging it across to Skittles. Beautiful around. Just too far.
Yeah, Lily gave that disc just a little bit of juice. And though there's not a ton of wind today, it does move in that kind of left to right direction on your screen. It's not enough to really make today feel like an upwind, downwind point, but it is absolutely just enough to push the disc a little bit further than you might have intended for it to go coming out of your hand.
Monarchs running with a horizontal stack right now. Trying to get it off the sideline. That looked potentially down. And a down doesn't mean it necessarily has to hit the ground, but if it touches a blade of grass, that's what the rule says, right?
Yeah, a blade of grass, the atoms that compromise the grass, whatever. There's a lot of microbiologists out there who seem to know a lot more than we do, but it doesn't matter. Is Red not able to capitalize? JJ grips, rips, and there's Milton in the neighborhood, but not able to get a read on it against her defender. But the Red doing a great job of flooding down there with defensive personnel, stopping the initial look, but Thorne.
I heard a timeout whistle, so I think that's probably what we can expect right now.
Timeout whistle taken, and a little bit of a...
I do think that's probably a wise call from the Monarchs. I don't think we've necessarily seen the best decision-making towards the end zone. So probably switching out their handlers, getting more sure-handed handlers out there. Especially on this sideline, hitting that break side flick is very dangerous for people. So you want someone who could do a high-release flick or maybe a lefty backhand into the break side space.
We'll see how the Monarchs respond coming out of this timeout. We're going to take a quick break. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Premier Ultimate League. The PUL is a 501c6 nonprofit. This league has been community funded since day one, and we are so grateful for the support. We ask that you consider donating to help us continue to train. Tuning right back in, Anna Thorne with the disc on the goal line. Disc too high, too fast, and
you saw that flick break throw, but it needed to have a little bit more OI closer to the ground.
Looking at the defensive set here from the Monarchs, looks like they've had a chance to kind of talk about how they want to flood some of the lane. We saw Schrader sitting back in there, but the Red just go into the handler rotation to move out of it. Jello swings the disc a little bit low, but sails nicely into the hands of Dixon, advances it up to McGuire. Riley Dixon with two full hands available to her today. McGuire airs it out, and what a smack from Anna Stubbs. Wanting to leave absolutely no question about it from McKenna Mattamore. The way the disc was coming in, it was going to be difficult for Mattamore to go up and make a play with 100% confidence, but there's somewhere between that and saying I need to go up and get this sure-handed. Anna Stubbs, using her size to her advantage, just smacks the disc out of the air. A little bit of a poachy set here from the Indy Red. Riley Dixon just sitting in that lane off of Jarek enough to pick up Fian if she comes under. We'll see if Jarek takes just a second of a pause before breaking. Slow flood play. Disc too far for Schrader.
Man, that flick throw from Thorne right now is a little wobbly. I would also like their offense to start cutting a little bit sooner. Their offense is a bit stagnant. Easy lefty backhand.
Can we talk about, as we get our replay pulled up for that, how methodical Tilo was about setting their feet so that they could power off of that non-pivot leg immediately? I've never seen someone do this so determinedly. Wanted to know exactly where they were so they could spring up off that right leg and deliver that backhand, which, not a lefty backhand for Tilo, just a backhand. That's on body mechanics, KK.
It's also on team communication, because as soon as Tilo tapped it in, Kat knew exactly where to go.
With seasons as short as they are, it's one of the things that we notice about that's kind of, it almost feels like we're getting both versions of it today. Though these teams have played near to an equivalent number of games, the Red feel distinctly like they are playing with a much greater level of chemistry as we get this pull up. The Monarchs feel a little bit disjointed, almost like they, despite what number of reps they may have had to this point in the season, they're quite not all on the same page. But moving quickly right now is all that matters. Dory Chan with the disc in her hand. Kat trucks her from behind, or Eliza Hutchings rather. A little bit of spice. Dory looks unhappy about it. Eliza understands the mistake that was made.
Both players quite animated. I think it's all good. Yeah. And Dory wanting to maybe make a big play on that. Probably didn't have to, though, and ended up dropping it instead.
Dory had something to say and fumbled it instead.
I don't mind the spice between the players. I love to see that,
Excellent use of faking, getting the offense reset from the Indy Red. Risa airs it out. Skittles has the speed. We'll see if she can get there. She's all alone. Hat dangling from her ponytail. A couple yards outside the goal line. Monarchs with the numbers advantage right now. And
but I heard a timeout whistle. Let's see if it was called out before Skittles threw it away. Wow, beautiful coaching.
And if the Monarchs want to be upset about it, they only need look 1 point to go when Thorne, starting to air the disc over to Jarek, instead got the whistle called, and they were able to go out and set up for an easy offensive possession. We're going to take a quick break here in Indianapolis, and we'll be right back. 5 minutes left in the second quarter. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Premier Ultimate League. The PUL is a 501c6 nonprofit. This league has been community funded since day one, and we are so grateful for the support. We ask that you consider donating to help us continue to transform and fulfill our mission. Head to premierultimateleague.com to donate today. And we're right back. The Red having taken a timeout in order to get some offensive personnel out there on the field. Tilo standing over the disc, going to be marked by Penny Wu. Two players very, very familiar with each other from their time playing in the mixed scene here in the Great Lakes, going to battle with the Columbus Cocktails and Ann Arbor Hybrid. What a move from Rachel Mast. Shakes two defenders.
Textbook cut from the world's player. And we got a shout out. Charlotte Wilson in the chat says, "Go Red." Giving us some love, Charlie. KK and Charlie crushing the commentary. And she loves watching these hybrid connections.
Chuck,
send us the
because
puns.
because I know that you're listening to this, you have better puns than you, and I expect better. Thank you for the love. We appreciate you. Charlotte Chuck Wilson, longtime member of the Indy Red, not playing with us this season, but one of the most diehard Red supporters out there. Thank you for your support, and thank you to all of you participating in the YouTube chat. If you feel like you're looking at that number and it's low, pump that link out to any and all of your friends, enemies, people you work with. Go set phones up.
Your mom.
Your mom, your mom's mom, your dad, your dad's mom, whomever. Pull up from Annie Mylink. Gorgeous. Hard to have a pull. Much better than that. Sets it up on a shelf. Received by Schrader. A little bit of a different look. We've got Schmidt marshaling the point of attack now. Swings over to Pruka. Anna Thorne instead moving downfield into a little bit more of a cutter space. Gorgeous slide air bounce throw from Pruka to the middle of the field. And these are the kinds of adjustments that I think the Monarchs have been looking to make as Schmidt airs it out, looking for Pruka, but disc comes down just a little bit early. And the prophecy was foretold by Jackie Lai. Look for Riley Kuznicki to get some blocks today, and there she is with, I think, maybe her second of the day today. We'll check with our stats team and get back to you on that one.
Wow, beautiful cut from Annie. Red really setting up their cuts. Too far.
I like the hesitation there from Hobday, and you could tell that Mylink was waiting for her. The throw was just not quite executed the way it needed to be. Good effort from Mylink to get a flat mark on there, threaten the around for just a moment. Monarchs to up this, not even necessarily a foresight, just the side of the field, and Pruka all alone legs that one out.
Maybe miscommunication on the force, not quite sure about that.
It's going to bring our score to 11-5, 6-point advantage being enjoyed by the Red right now. And if I know anything about defensive coach John Jones, it's that he's not going to be happy with a 6-goal lead. I know that he, unfortunately, has seen a couple of those evaporate in his time as a coach, as a player, and as a fan. If he's, what do you imagine he's talking to the D-line about right now as they walk off the field?
Good question. What do you think?
I think that if I'm John Jones here, it's an opportunity to remind my D-line, hey, we've got a big advantage, but the biggest disadvantage is feeling at any time like you're comfortable and feeling at any time like you've got this in hand. This is, as we've noted, this is a high-scoring game. 3 minutes, 40 seconds left in the half is a lot of time for these teams to do damage in pursuit of, increasing score lines, closing gaps, whatever they may be looking for. And we've also seen a separate look as far as personnel goes, not by who's on the field, but from the different points that they're attacking from. That means that if you're out there with a specific matchup, you've got to change the way that you're adjusting your defensive game because you might be somewhere else on the field. Disc is picked up by Tracy Lowe. Again, enjoying that clock management, taking their time. Rosenthal pressured by the Monarchs, but gets up, airs it out. Matamore.
Beautiful throw.
Showing off.
That did seem like a play call to me. What is that, a 23?
Just a little bit, yeah. Just a little bit of a 23. Rosenthal coming over for that disc off of the backside, cutting across the front, and then Matamore, patient as ever, and really demonstrating one of her biggest tools in the toolkit, the acceleration. So we see Rosenthal come across, high pressure from the Monarchs, and then just watch Matamore take off, accelerates into those last few steps.
Rachel Mast.
Oh, Rachel Mast. My apologies to McKenna Matamore and Rachel Mast. But accelerating through that disc, making sure that there's absolutely no way for the Monarchs players to get to that disc and contest it. When you continue talking about energy, KK, those are the kinds of things that we're looking for is, hey, how can we go out and decisively end points?
Monarchs seems to be a little confused on how to stop Red's offense right now. I'm not sure they're necessarily trying anything. I keep seeing person defense. I would really like to see maybe a poach or a team defensive set to try to stop those in cuts, to try to stop the deep cuts. What do you think?
They need some kind of answer because right now the Red offense is getting everything it wants and more. It's not that there's hands in the cookie jars, it's that they've taken the entire thing for themselves. Pole sails out of bounds. Anna Thorne walking the disc to the middle of the field, going to be marked by Lizzie Tilden.
Horizontal setup. And they do seem to be switching from horizontal to vertical in their offensive setup.
Tilden taking a sharp mark, really looking to threaten the around space, and we see her set into that. But inside break from Thorne is gorgeous and sure. Over to Claire Schmidt. Disc is swung over to Aaron Schrader. Takes their time. Rockets a flick up the field to Grace Fian, and it's just a little bit too far for Fian to make a play. Disc is ahead to Jamie Smets. Moves it to Lily Hobday. Takes back off. Lizzie Tilden, gorgeous swing over to Skittles Milton. Skittles sure-footed. Delivers it to her St. Louis teammate, running mate, good friend Eliza Hutchings, and that is another goal.
You can
Red.
tell Eliza is like, throw me an easier throw. You know that, so I think she's giggling about that. Skittles wants to throw it to Eliza. It worked that time, so I think they can be happy with that.
There are so many groups, pairings, whatever you want to call them, factions maybe, on this Indy Red team that you could call it a challenge, you could call it an advantage, but Blake Vanderbush and Jackie Lai, the coaches for this Red team, really get to play around with their personnel in terms of, hey, if we get into some of these tighter spaces, if we get into some of these need to have moments, there are so many players that have somebody else where they can say, I've played with this person for a long time and not just on this team. I know what they want. I know how to go get it. Skittles and Eliza, two of such players sharing the St. Louis community. Eliza knows that if Skittles got the disc with an opportunity for a huck, or they're on the goal line, an opportunity to punch it in, knows where to go.
An O-line, D-line for Indy Red right now. Trying to get some more reps. Makeda just sprinting down the field trying to stop the first throw.
And we're 1-1 on these opportunities, but all alone right there is the Monarchs' number 21. Shriver with the disc in her hands. Moves it up the field to Pruka. A little bit of crossover. Cross-field flick huck. Schrader is home, and that's a goal.
Dime from Pruka. That throw going up from, bottom of your screen flick towards the left side towards the top of your screen, which is the left side of the field, is so impossible to guard because you have the defense that's set up towards the bottom of your screen. So if it just goes up and over defense to a wide open person.
Everyone's Joy Photography, UND sports team photographer, and Indy Red's official photography company. Doesn't matter what you need, we got you covered at any event. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, or online at everyone'sjoyphotography.com. Tuning back in here in Indianapolis. 1 minute 40 seconds remaining in our second half. Little bit more tightly contested, though it still feels all red all day. Pull is up from the Monarchs. Red receiving. That's Champ Rains with the disc. Ahead to Tracy Lowe, and we are off. A little bit of a poachy look from the Monarchs this time, an adjustment to stop some of those early T-Low grinders. Riley Dixon, sure-handed as always, brings that down despite some pressure from the Monarchs. Squid doesn't like the deep look to McGuire.
Different personnel on this O-line this time. Kind of Matamore in the backfield. Dixon cutting.
And
Nice
Matamore,
grab.
what a grab.
Cut from T-Lo, just getting shredded. Beautiful.
And before T-Lo had even secured it, Matamore with her hands in the air as though conveying, are you not entertained? And in fact, we are talking about personnel changes. Sometimes it helps to say, hey, O-line, you're out there getting everything you want, but we're still going to put a spark plug in, and Makeda Matamore is the perfect person to plug in for this Red offense.
These points are so short for the Red offense that I think they're able to cycle through many different players at this point.
It's a huge advantage when you know that your offense is getting everything they want on a given day and that they can go in and kind of enforce their will, because it means that then when you say, hey, I don't want this to be stagnant, I want to make sure that everyone's staying as locked in, when you get pulled, it's not because your legs aren't there. It's not because your head's not in the game. It's to say, hey, we want to go out and continue succeeding here. Continuing to get everything that we want is our way of kind of keeping everybody locked in and engaged. You don't know when you might get pulled. You don't know when your name might be called to go back out. It means everyone has to stay 100% focused. And as we creep underneath 1 minute left in the half, Anna Thorne marshals the attack from the Milwaukee Monarchs, operating at that spearhead attack with this little bit of a spread set here from the Monarchs.
Stagnancy from Monarchs still ending up from a D with a D from Red, and D is ready to grind.
Yeah, Anna Thorne has been painting a gorgeous canvas with that inside flick of theirs, and in this particular case, the grasping, clawing hands of the Red have frustrated her at every single turn, as the Red are able to convert another break. Annie Meilink reeling in the big swing from Lily Hobday.
Love to see some of these younger players really shining today.
Thank you today to Cox Roofing. As a family-owned company, Cox Roofing knows that it can be difficult to entrust your home or business to someone else's hands. This is why we have cultivated an expert team to help with any roofing, guttering, or siding needs. We are here for you from free first inspection to final walkthrough. Call Cox Roofing to schedule today. We're back. 20 seconds left in the second quarter, and in the half, pull goes up from Lily Hobday. Puts that one high, arcing just a little bit of a sine curve, and Thorne picks up, centers to Claire Schmidt. Takes her time. It's the end of a half, not the end of a game, so all they need to do is maintain possession and avoid the pressure that a decreasing clock puts on them. And as we tick across zeros, the Monarchs, with some clock management of their own, will be the only possession that we get through the rest of this half. But Schmidt airs it out, looking for Pruka. Hard to make a decision better than that one. Pruka leaves her feet, takes off from the airport, and brings that disc in for a goal.
We knew that was coming. Put it out in front of Pruka. She can't help it. Pruka actually used to play for Red. Back in the day.
Back in the day. Well, Austin Pruka right now
is 4 pro teams.
Right now she's making plays. Tees that one up, recognizes it's going to be just a little bit long, and leaves her feet sailing for it. And that brings us to a halftime score of 15-7. Indianapolis Red feeling dominant right now over the Milwaukee Monarchs. We'll be right back with some second half action after a few messages. Experience the thrill of pinball every first Friday and third Saturday at the Pin Vault. Check us out online for tournaments and to schedule your private event. The ultimate pinball experience awaits. Thank you to everyone tuning in today. If you're enjoying today's stream, please consider donating at indyred.org or by scanning the QR code on your screen. Indy Red is a 501c3, and all donations go towards player pay and travel costs.
At the ACLU is defending your rights. A better Indiana doesn't just happen on its own. That's why we need you.
30 minutes over a cup of coffee. Queen to H5 at the park. Thumbs up emojis, clapping emojis, confetti emojis. Loaded nachos at halftime. A spin dash for the win. Best 2 out of 3. And the time it takes to enjoy a slice or two, you can make a difference. Because yeah, mentorship sounds huge, but the truth is, it takes little to be big.
ACLU. That's why we need you.
30 minutes over a cup of coffee. Queen to H5 at the park. Thumbs up emojis, clapping emojis, little to be big.
At the ACLU is defending your rights. A better Indiana doesn't just happen on its own. That's why we need you.
30 minutes over a cup of coffee. Queen to H5 at the park. Thumbs up emojis, clapping emojis, confetti emojis. Loaded nachos at halftime. A spin dash for the win. Best 2 out of 3. And the time it takes to enjoy a slice or two, you can make a difference. Because yeah, mentorship sounds huge, but the truth is, it takes little to be big.
We're back, still in halftime here in Indianapolis. Indianapolis Red up 15-7 over the Milwaukee Monarchs. Indy Red looking to increase to 2-1 on this season. Remember that we lost a tough game to Philadelphia here at home and then went to Texas. Had a little bit of a duel in the wind, able to get the win 15-13 over the Torch. Still trying to claw our way up for position here in the North Division. KK, this is one of those games where we as fans are always looking to know what the storyline is. In this case, the score just kind of tells the truth. What have you seen so far from the Red that you've liked today? And it feels greedy to ask, but what do you want to see more of?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have some thoughts about Monarchs first, which is that at this point, their defense has to win this game back for them, because without getting defensive breaks, you know, there's no way that they claw back to get a little bit closer in this game. So what can defense do strategic-wise to throw Red off a bit? And that's what we have to see, and it needs to be fast. You know, we need to see some pressure, some layout Ds, some blocks, some hand blocks. What are they going to do to get some quick turns? But as far as Red, maybe potentially work on getting it off the line. You know, I know that they're doing a great job of that, but because they don't necessarily have that defensive pressure necessarily keeping them forced to the sideline, they're having pretty easy swings, but maybe spreading those swings out all the way from one side to the other. That could be something that they could work on this half.
I agree 100%. And in all honesty, this is a game of throwing and catching, and if I'm the Milwaukee coaches at halftime, I think I'm just encouraging my players to say, hey, throwing is a hard skill, but it's the most fundamental one. If we've tried a throw repeated times, maybe we just need to look for an easier one. And then catching under pressure is so incredibly difficult, also a skill that has to be worked on. But with the Red defenders, like kind of nipping at the heels of these Monarchs O-line players, you know, just remembering to secure the disc first before we look for anything else is going to be of the utmost importance.
I think we can probably also expect to see more deep throws from Monarchs offense, because they have to score quickly.
100%.
Miscue
there from the Monarchs. Risa, big old fake. Former Nemesis teammates with Anna Thorne, who is marking her in the backfield. Mylink doesn't take the swing, waits for everything to settle down, knows that J.J. Jarek is back there ready to make a play if the opportunity shows up. Disc advanced up to Rachel Graber, doesn't take the upline throw. Love the continued cycling of looks here. Kuznicki doesn't like a little bit of the hand contact from Schrader there. We'll see what kind of a resolution we get here.
Hand signals say contested.
Play just a little bit too quickly for me to get a good look up here. Definitely feel like Schrader's got a real argument for having poked that one away. They're going to look to the official for a ruling.
Looks like the disc is going back. Indefinitive call from the observer.
When in doubt, send it back. Graber's going to get the disc back. Technically, Kuznicki should reset, but that's okay. Graber, cheeky little backhand back to Umeno. Exactly.
Like, let's get it off the sideline here.
But takes the time to find the inside flick for Umeno, who just sits in place. Disc up to Smets. And there's Risa. Little upline there. And Risa brings in the goal. Red continue just pushing forward. 16-7 over the Monarchs.
The miscue that the Monarchs had was not even a defensive pressure from Red. They weren't even in the lanes.
Yeah, it was just kind of the general pressure of, well, there's someone here, and I think that momentum is a very real thing. Anybody who competes in anything, you know, or performs anything like that knows that that is real. I think the Monarchs as a unit are feeling disjointed, and it's starting to show through. They have all of the talent in the world. It's hard to marshal a better offensive attack than Thorne, Schrader, and Schmidt in your backfield, let alone when you have Pruka, Jarek, you know, Connie Chan, some of these other players downfield to throw to. And yet when a game so definitively isn't going your way, it really starts to sink in. And that's where you have to kind of lean on the mental resilience of these players to pull themselves back out of it and start to make some good out of what is unequivocally bad the rest of the game. Disc is aired out for the Monarchs. Schrader giving chase, but that disc is going to fade just a little bit too much to that back right cone, and Red defense is going to get another opportunity here. Near identical line out there. Graber, Smets, Umeno, Hobday, Thomas. Skittles now out there. Eliza taking off deep. Disc doesn't come as the Reds settle into a little bit of backfield motion. Risa still in her own end zone. Kicks it out to Smets. And there we go. Eliza finally able to find an opportunity to come under. Disc is aired out from Thomas. Just a little bit of air underneath it. And we see the danger in airing the disc out like that.
No call.
No call there.
Looked like everyone was just checking in with each other to see if there was a call. It was like the Spider-Man poking, pointing left, right.
Are you good? Are you good? Are you good? Oh, and right there, just a little bit of a stop. Couldn't get their body right from the Milwaukee defender. Lizzie Tilden swinging over to Risa, and the Red offense is right back in motion.
Skittles looking to Eliza in the end zone.
Tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme. Red break 17-7. Those are the lyrics, right?
I have to Google it.
Well, you all don't need to go check me on Genius or anything like that. Regardless, as we take a look at our replay here, things are just easy for the Red, and the thing I want to focus on as we see that disc aired out nicely for Eliza Hutchings is that it feels like the Red, who are already not making a ton of mistakes in this game, are learning from them. The AI is getting smarter as we watch this game. The adjustments are being made not player, like an individual player's huck to their next huck. Rather, it almost feels like, cool, the last huck we had ended up in a dog pile. The very next person, regardless of who's throwing it, has adjusted to take that disc and put it out more instead of up higher. We've seen a couple big defensive plays from the Monarchs where a disc is set up too much and caused a pile and caused a block. Now we're seeing players like Skittles read the disc out a little bit more before going up and attacking to avoid some of these things. Defensive O-line for the Monarchs. Penny Wu, spearhead of that attack.
Doesn't really look like Red cares about some people touching the disc, which I think is strategic. They have someone poaching deep. Shani is poaching deep right now, and now is clamping down. Probably looking to force them, maybe their weaker handler, to be in charge, which is very strategic.
Penny Wu with a little bit of a non-traditional catch there. Does a great job of receiving it. Swings the disc over the field, and Rachel Mast soars in for a block.
Kind of a lazy flick up in the air. Just put a little bit more I.O. on that, a little bit more gusto, and Rachel probably can't get that.
I think one of the differences in this game is doing things with intent and purpose, and the Red, clear about what they're here to do today. The Monarchs feel a little bit less unsure. Or a little bit more unsure, rather.
Wow. Oh, watch out.
And that's a rugby try, but not a Frisbee goal.
Oh, my goodness.
Looking at the defensive set for the Red as they get going. McGuire and Rosenthal playing some looser person defense as McGuire's defender's trying to shake her. Meanwhile, tight person defense played in the backfield for the Red. Rachel Mast giving chase. Huck goes up from Kat Chen, not able to be brought down by Kylie Chesner. Another opportunity for this Red defense. Lot of O-line personnel out there. And I think that Tilo has just committed to wasting as much time as possible, and we could call that clock management. You could call it doing a great job of letting your team get set up. Regardless of what it is, it's working.
Wide open break throw to Kat. And Jello was streaking deep and had yards in the end zone. I think Red is looking to play more conservative right now as Kat puts it up to Rachel. It's hard to deny. It's hard to resist.
Yeah, but if we're talking about conservative, waiting an extra second for your deep throw to Rachel Mast is the Reds' equivalent of, Austin's down there somewhere.
And now Red has the privilege to play conservatively. They don't have to take risks. They can just swing it from side to side, inside and out, hit the give goes, hit the open throw, and until the game ends at this point.
And we'll see what the Red defense comes out to do after a quick break here in Indianapolis. City Yoga School of Yoga and Health is a locally owned yoga studio nestled in a peaceful residential neighborhood in downtown Indy. Take a break from the grind and focus on your well-being this summer. Use code RED25, all lowercase, at checkout and enjoy your first yoga class free. Scan the QR code to book today. And we're back here in Indianapolis. Indianapolis Red 18, Milwaukee Monarchs 7. Risa Umeno rockets a blading backhand pull. We're going to get a little bit of roll out of that. Not stopped by the first defender, but fielded by Aaron Schrader. Gets the disc back from Sydney French and comfortably ahead of the break line here, shuffling her shoulders. Finds
with
Claire
a
Schmidt.
Little bit of urgency from Schrader right now. You can see that they're trying to push it upfield.
Yeah, they're moving with some pace that we haven't seen yet. Once again, and all alone. If you want to go out and win a point by yourself, Aaron Schrader just handed you the textbook.
Not exactly sure where their defender went.
There's still a lot of time left in this game. 18 minutes of real clock time, between this quarter and the fourth quarter. Assuming that, the Red O-line continues to go out and do what it does, the Red are going to enjoy this advantage. But those are the kinds of points that you don't want if you're, John Jones talking to your defensive unit, or if you're the Red looking at this game as a whole. Not a lot of time burned. Tilo can only burn so much on the offensive side for us. Monarchs went out and got what they needed, a point that lasted less than 30 seconds, where it felt like they really enforced their will, running through one of their, higher touch players. From the Monarchs, I'm looking to find more opportunities like that. It's going to have to start and continue here, though, with a defense that has yet to really generate opportunities against this Red offense.
Yeah, that's right.
Pull goes up from the Monarchs, sails high and settles down, almost lands on Squid Logren, who has to jog a couple extra steps ahead so as not to have a turnover. And look at her clearing the lane so that Tilo's got a full field to throw to.
And that looked like a flood play call where everyone, wow, posterized by Kat McGuire.
Let's be clear about something. Kat McGuire, nowhere near the tallest player on this team, does not matter.
Got some ups.
Skies a number of Monarchs. If you want to go back and count it, you're all welcome to at home. And then easily delivers a throw. And Kat McGuire puts the Red back up 19-8 after clipping the wings of 3 different Monarchs players. Hopefully they still have their crowns on.
It kind of seemed there as though Red made a play call I don't think I've ever seen before, which I think just goes to tell you how flexible they are and how capable they are of making changes in the moment. Because that looked like a drawn-up play for Dixon.
It did, and yet, continuing to talk about that adaptability as we get this point started, Tilo choosing to improvise in the way that they like most, which is to rocket it deep to Kat McGuire, still felt like it was within system for the Red. And that's been one of the stories for today is nothing feels like it's out of flow for Indianapolis today. Annie Shriver patiently gets the disc over to Schmidt. Doesn't like anything on that backhand side. Trying to marshal the offense, but no one to marshal when play has to stop.
I think if it gets into Schrader's disc, you can expect them to go deep.
Yep, and you saw it almost a second too late.
Skittles. I have noticed one of, Schrader, who has incredible power behind their throws. sometimes their cutters don't have the power to catch up to the throws that go up.
Yeah, a little too much mustard on that Chicago dog in the case of some of these throws from the Monarchs. Oh, Lexi Thomas, just a little bit too much edge on that throw, and Monarchs able to swat it down. Anna Thorne working with Pruka in the backfield. Nice little pick play ran there, and Thorne comfortably sees the disc into their hands, and we are going to get the call there after all, as you can't run your defender into the disc-having players without that being a pick call. It's very common. It's very popular in Frisbee.
I did hear a timeout whistle, so I think that's exactly what happened. Before any score or pick that was called, a timeout was called by the Monarchs.
During this timeout, we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be back with more action in just a few moments. Thank you to one of our local sponsors, MDMI. MDMI specializes in the design and implementation of tailored data management solutions to unlock the power of data. MDMI's experts work closely with customers to determine how to best capture, activate, and leverage their data to solve complex problems and drive productivity, innovation, and risk management. Visit mdmi.com to learn more. Tuning back in, Indy Red leading 19-8 over the Monarchs. Monarchs threatening another goal. This is the second time that a timeout has been called when Anna Thorne has just gotten the opportunity to have the disc in their hands. We'll see if they're able to convert another goal opportunity here. Looking for Pruka, not able to run the same pick play, so what do you do except air it out, and Austin Pruka comes down with another one, despite the outstretched hands of McKenna Matamore being right there. Monarchs on the board keeping the lead to 10, 19-9.
Beautiful throw to space. Hard to guard.
Like I said earlier, heck, Austin's down there somewhere. Or in this case, I'm going to lead this horse to water and then watch her drink. What do you even do there if you're McKenna Matamore?
You just got to go up and hope for the best.
Go up and hope for the best.
See, hopefully get some of those fingies in there to touch the disc.
It's the kind of play where your coach yells at you to leave your feet. Whole sideline tells you to leave your feet, and you're like, no. I'm going to do my best and live to fight another day. Especially in the case of a Matamore who's getting a lot of OD line crossover. A player whose legs are incredibly valuable where they're able to go plug her in, but also a little bit at a premium. And in fact, we see her out here on a red O-line. Disc lands inbounds on that trap sideline. Great job from the Monarchs getting pressure on, but Tilo swings immediately to Rosenthal, and we're seeing just a little bit of a wall kind of set from the Monarchs, and Tilo says, I do not care. What a grab from Squid Logren. So good, my voice put cracks in it. Tilo not finding Shinny immediately, losing just a couple seconds there, but keeps the disc moving. Rachel Mast able to get low and deliver that flick for Matamore. And Tilo, one of the strongest players in small spaces, powers through, gets the disc. We'll see if they also get the goal.
Yeah.
They, in fact, do.
Calls the foul, but also had the score, so it doesn't matter. I like the look from Monarchs putting in the poach, trying to stop the insides. It looked like they fired out of it a little too late because they weren't able to match up to, quick enough to stop those kind of easy open throws.
Yes, and then, in that opportunity to power through to somebody like Tilo, who's got so much power, especially in those upline spaces, really, really hard to stop there. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back with about 3 minutes left in the third quarter here in Indianapolis. Everyone's Joy Photography, UIndy sports team photographer, and Indy Red's official photography company. Doesn't matter what you need, we got you covered at any event. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, or online at everyone'sjoyphotography.com. 3 minutes, 11 seconds left here in the third quarter in Indianapolis. Indy Red having just scored to go back up 11-29 over the Milwaukee Monarchs. As Annie Mylink rockets another backhand pull downfield. Monarchs going to be moving left to right on your screen. Disc is fielded by Rose Glinka, moves it ahead to Aaron Schrader, and we're watching Schrader continue to play with a ferocity that they did not quite have in the first half. Giving Mylink everything that she doesn't want and more. Grace Fian, sure-handed as ever, keeps the disc alive for the Monarchs. Hounded by Skittles Milton, swings it over to Glinka. Glinka moves it ahead to Claire Schmidt. And the Monarchs are flowing. I don't even have words for that. We're watching an incredible performance right now in this effort from the Monarchs out of Aaron Schrader, who's decided to ascend to a higher level than the rest of us for this second half.
Yeah, Schrader has decided to take over this game. They've had enough. And it's hard to do it alone. Let's see if the rest of their teammates can step up.
Experience the thrill of pinball every first Friday and third Saturday at the Pin Vault. Check us out online for tournaments and to schedule your private event. The ultimate pinball experience awaits. So, KK, I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think that all of these incredible goals from Aaron Schrader, the offense that they're playing, it reminds me a whole lot of the very famous men's NBA quote where, Chris Paul hits a three to cut the lead to 49. That's what a lot of this feels like to me from Schrader. Incredible layout to bring the lead back to 10 for the Indianapolis Red.
Right. Right. But it's a pro Frisbee game. You have to lay it all out of the field until the very end. You cannot give up. You just can't, because you have more games. You have the rest of the season to play. You have to do it for your own morale,
Just a little bit of confusion in the Red backfield there, but able to get things moving. And then Rosenthal, easily the most patient player on this Red O-line, which today is playing with so much poise. Beautiful bladey backhand, sits up more than comfortably. As we get a look at our replay here, we see Tracy Lowe, little inside flick, finds Mattamore, moves it to Rosenthal, and then Rachel Mast with 3 steps is an impossible task when we talk about catching back up to your defensive marks. And
again, their defense not necessarily taking anything specific away. They're not taking away the inside. They're not taking away the deep.
If your goal isn't to take away something specific, then a lot of the times you've got to have a purpose somewhere else. Normally, when a defense has, hey, we're not trying to stop the deep, we're not trying to stop the swings, then the goal is to just force as many throws as possible, and we're not even really seeing that out of the Monarchs, because the Red are, finishing a lot of these points in 10 throws or fewer, even when they get a little bit caught up in their own backfield. Trying yet another defensive assignment on Schrader. Jamie Smets getting the call at this point. High pressure, and Riley Kuznicki gets another block. That's at least 2 today. Risa taking a moment to kind of re-marshal. Finds Lily Hobday. Speedballs it in there, but we're still in flow here. The Red really working up that side until Risa decides to cross it all the way over the field.
Beautiful look.
No call,
Risa.
no harm, no foul. And that's another goal for Skittles, who's wearing a different hat.
These points from Red are 30 seconds or less, And you don't see Red letting off the gas pedal, which I think often teams can get comfortable when they are ahead so much. They kind of get a little bit more playful, more lackadaisical, but I don't see that at all from Red right now. In fact, I saw 2 or 3 people racing down on the pole to try to stop the first throw.
This Indy Red D-line is just getting everything that they want. And when you look at how they're kind of continuing to rotate through players, this is a different D-line, and yet it's names that we've been calling all game. Sammy Phillips is still out there. Annie Mylink out there to pull. Lily Hobday, Rachel Graber. You know, and then there's a whole arsenal of players that are ready to be subbed in at any time on this D-line, despite the fact that the Red are a little bit of a thinner roster today numbers-wise than the Monarchs, who it seems they brought their entire roster, entourage, and city of Milwaukee with them.
Mm-hmm. And city of Chicago.
And city of Chicago. Speaking of, Jacqueline Jarek advances the disc ahead to Erica Watson. Big swing over to Jarek. Moves it ahead to Anna Thorne. Secures that one comfortably. Pulling 2 defenders right now. Red giving Anna Thorne their due as a thrower and a player. Rockets a flick out. Beautiful throw, but
I heard her timeout, another timeout whistle, which was the right call because Anna had no options.
Yeah, even if Erica Watson, who was the kind of far out offensive player for the Monarchs, had taken off 2 seconds early, with the pressure from the Reds sitting about 2 yards back, that was going to be a difficult offer trying to get that throw out there. And what is now, I think, my favorite stat this game is Anna Thorne is the most timeout whistled player in this game. And before we end our third quarter, we're going to take one more quick break here, and we'll be back after the timeout. Thank you today to Cox Roofing. As a family-owned company, Cox Roofing knows that it can be difficult to entrust your home or business to someone else's hands. This is why we have cultivated an expert team to help with any roofing, guttering, or siding needs. We're here for you from free first inspection to final walkthrough. Call Cox Roofing to schedule today. We're back here. 15 seconds left remaining in the third quarter in Indianapolis, and the Milwaukee Monarchs.
And I see a play call. You have Schrader and J.J. Jarek set up in the middle. They're going to be working off each other to get the disc. Going deep.
And flustered because who was out there on Schrader but Kat McGuire able to sniff that one out, but Jarek still knocking on the doorstep. Mark finally gets on, but JJ throws up a little bit of a blade, and that's brought down by Claire Schmidt. Edge spike. 22-11 for the Milwaukee Monarchs.
Do you hear them running out on the field cheering? You saw the spike. That's the energy that you needed at the end of the first quarter.
100%. The Monarchs have found some life. They've decided to recenter on themselves. You have to imagine that's what Coach Murphy and Coach DJ were talking about in their last huddle during that timeout was, hey, we can still go out and have fun and play our game, and let's go see if we can make this fourth quarter ours. Before we tune back in with fourth quarter action here, we're going to take a quick break. Coming back here in Indianapolis, currently up 22-11 over the Milwaukee Monarchs.
At the ACLU is defending your rights. A better Indiana doesn't just happen on its own. That's why we need you.
30 minutes over a cup of coffee. Queen to H5 at the park. Thumbs up emojis, clapping emojis, confetti emojis. Loaded nachos at halftime. A spin dash for the win. Best 2 out of 3. And the time it takes to enjoy a slice or two, you can make a difference. Because yeah, mentorship sounds huge, but the truth is, it takes little to be big.
We're back in Indianapolis, getting ready to start the fourth quarter here. Indianapolis Red leading 22-11 over the Milwaukee Monarchs. And we're having a quick reversal of field here. Some miscommunication between the teams, and the Red are now set up and having a conversation with Coach Jackie Lai and Coach Vanderbush as the Monarchs get reset on the other end of the field. Red are going to be receiving on offense, moving left to right across your screen in case your phone's down and you're listening. But if you are staring at your screen in the YouTube chat, get in the chat. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know how much you love the Red, how much you love the Monarchs, if you have to, I guess. And talk to us about how much you love the PUL. It's a beautiful day in Indianapolis. The weather is perfect. Just a slight breeze. We've seen some players enjoy the benefits of that. Pullers like Annie Mylink and Penny Wu able to sit discs way up high. Long throwers like Kat McGuire, Tracy Lowe, J.J. Jarek able to really put hucks up out there, and this has just been a highly powered offensive contest today. But the Red, so far the more sure-footed, sure-handed, and just cleaner offense as they get ready to start another O-point. Penny drops that one in on the low side of the field. Picked up by Champ Rains. A little bit of a junk set just to get them started, but Tilo resets the field over to Jello. Kat McGuire on the high side of the field, marked by Dory Chan. And I like this from the Monarchs. We're finally seeing them make different choices, and it pays off as
No call.
no call. Connie Chan able to get the block. A little bit of a miscommunication, I think, with Kat McGuire. When you talk about energy, KK, this is what you've been looking for 3 quarters.
Please give me some more energy. I just need it.
Yeah, Connie Chan looking to really go out there and kind of enforce her will. Big swing over to Penny Wu. Looks to give it right back, fakes it off.
Penny looking towards the end zone. You could just see. Whoa. Caught by Dory.
Caught by Dory, but Kat didn't like something in there and then decided it maybe wasn't worth it.
I think that maybe she was like, you weren't in, maybe you were on the line when you caught it, you know?
Yeah, because
and also maybe even potentially a foul call. Oh yeah, I think Kat was maybe looking if the disc was in or out, but it is what it is. I think you just move forward at that point.
Worth noting here, we're going to get our first look at a D2 line or a D second line for the Monarchs, because that is in fact their first break this game.
I see.
During our last break, I mentioned how I'd love for the Red to get another hold and another break, with the first break this quarter belonging to the Milwaukee Monarchs. And the first opportunity for the Red to come out and say, how do we respond as an offense when we're broken, even on something that's got a little bit of weirdness to it? Penny getting to enjoy a different win this time for the backhand huck. Champ settles underneath it. Disc is ahead to Tracy Lowe, and we are off and running for the Red. Takes the easy throw ahead to Matamore. She's got Squid all alone. Kat picks up the disc and sends it right back off a pick call from Dory Chan. And I think Kat and Dory are starting to have a lot of fun out there in this little matchup. Disc ahead to Squid with the most serious look on her face as she pulls that disc in. Excellent defense from the Monarchs here in the backfield, really starting to sink their teeth in.
Putting their body, putting their hands in the way. Tighter windows, better communication, a little too late in the game.
Well, the thing that we're seeing is that the Red are responding with their own sharpness. I would almost say that it's felt like the Red, who have their first real execution error, throw a little bit low from Jello, and then also a foul call in the backfield. Sorry, rather, downfield between Squid Logren and her defender.
Yeah, I think there was just an incidental trip potentially.
And good call to make sure that you get to reset, you get to stand back up, you're not, losing a fast break opportunity. That's the right resolution, though I have to imagine, especially with Penny with the disc in her hands, that that's not her favorite outcome.
Looking deep. You could tell that she's looking for it, but who's cutting? Well-guarded deep space. Making Dory dig it out of the ground.
Yeah, Dory choosing to be the energy person for the D-line for the Monarchs, mirroring Aaron Schrader on the O-line for the Monarchs. Excellent switch there from the red. Riley Dixon settling onto Vermaak.
Wow. Foul called by Penny. I kind of knew Penny was going to call that. There was quite a lot of body contact. And a no foul call by the observer.
Wow. That is the quickest resolution on a foul call I've maybe ever seen in Frisbee.
Mac did have a step ahead of Penny, so I think that might have been a reason for the resolution.
Ooh, Penny
wanted to do it for herself.
And what a swat by Madison Lang on the run through there. Penny rocketing a flick. Just a little bit of air underneath it. And Jello able to get a hand on it, but it gets in the hands of the Monarchs. That's back-to-back breaks, and the lead is single digits for the first time since the Red pushed it out to 10.
At this point, that is the only option you have. Penny putting it deep, Schrader putting it deep, and trusting your people to go get it at this point.
For the fans at home, I understand that the lead can be double digits or single digits. Really, I believe it's back to the second quarter when the Red advanced the lead up that high. KK, you are absolutely correct. And everything comes back to the way that the Monarchs seem to have reset ahead of this fourth quarter. The energy is up. The defensive sets are a little bit sharper. And again, on offense, when they're able to get these D-line opportunities, what they're coming with is a greater level of intensity and a greater level of decisiveness. Everything has a purpose, every cut, every throw, and it's paying dividends for them now because they're able to, rack up 2 breaks in a row to start the quarter. A lot of the same personnel staying out there. Penny Wu and Connie Chan, most notably.
Let's see if Dory can also keep that spark alive.
And perhaps the easiest fix of all of them. Dug out by Lily Hobday. They're running this backhand force now, trying to force the Red just to look at the other side of the field more often and change where these breakthrows have to come from. A little bit of contact there. Don't love the way that Eliza Hutchings landed. And
injury call from Eliza. Yeah, lots of body contact, but didn't have a clear path to the disc either. Kind of limping off the field there.
Yeah, Eliza toughing this one out, walking off the field in her own power, but I might be surprised if we see her again this game. That disc, though, still ruled uncatchable, and I agree that it was. So the Monarchs are going to get their 3rd break opportunity of this quarter. Fortunately, though, this is a D-line out here for the O-line, so we're getting our first D-line on D-line action, and it pays off.
I think that was a hand block.
Lily Hobday getting some fingertips
right on
it.
Zone. Well, it did go backwards. It's not necessarily where I would imagine that handler wanted that disc to go.
I think I have to agree with you there, KK.
Yeah.
Sammy doesn't like the inside shot, but Lily able to body out her defender and right this ship for the Red, pushing the lead back to 10, 23-13.
Casual bookends from Lily on the end zone.
Lily may have some aggression to get out in this game. Notre Dame Echo not achieving their season-long goal of going to nationals here in the Great Lakes region. I believe losing to Flywheel, and I don't remember what the goal was.
Lily reading that around swing perfectly. Blake, Coach Blake Vanderbush teaching everyone to keep hands low.
Someone's got to rack up hand blocks on this team. Kelly Kirker not playing with the Red this season and leaving a leaving a particular void to be filled, and looks like Lily has answered the call.
We're getting some love from Ramon to the commentators. You guys are rocking it with some hearts.
Shout out to you, Ramon. So the Red have decided that they like Jamie Smets on Aaron Schrader. Gets the call again. First time we've seen it in a minute. We've gotten a lot of D-line points from the Monarchs. Austin Pruka directing traffic here. Skittles keeping that mark on firm and steady, not necessarily adjusting her angle.
Gosh, part of me is just like, hit your swing. The window is tight, but it is there. You know, I think that's part of the reason why there is a little bit of stagnancy for the Monarchs, is because they're a little bit fearful to hit the tight window.
And we had a contested stall, and there's the quick throw from Pruka. And we're right back where we started. Aaron Schrader, disc with their hands in the middle of the field. Up to Shriver.
Why not hit it to Anna, you know, who seemed open to me, opted for a harder throw across the field.
And this time, Pruka's bid coming up a little bit short. Disc bounces off her outstretched hand. And the Red are going to get their first break opportunity here of this quarter. Sorely needed and a little bit missed. Risa Umeno is going to walk the disc to the front cone and start the action here. Just a little bit of a poach offset from the Red, but Skittles able to come under and find some space. Pruka footsteps right behind her.
Skittles still wide open on the break side.
Yeah, excellent continue there from Skittles, and great job from Lizzie resetting to go after it. Jamie Smets legging it out. Gets it through pressure. Over to Lily Hobday. Takes back off
put it
again.
Opts to put it back to the handlers for an easier throw to the end zone.
There is nothing that I wanted more than for Jamie Smets to take off and beat Schrader in a foot race and get that disc a second time. But shout out to the Red for playing their game. Excellent movement from Tilden, Hobday, and Umeno to secure the break there. And the Red regain their 11-point advantage, 24-13, with about 5 left in this contest. We're going to take one quick break here. We'll be right back with the rest of this game. Indy Red up 24-13 over Milwaukee. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Discraft. The Discraft Ultrastar is the official disc of the Premier Ultimate League. Discraft, the world leader in disc sports. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Premier Ultimate League. The PUL is a 501c6 nonprofit. This league has been community funded since day one, and we are so grateful for the support. We ask that you consider donating to help us continue to transform and fulfill our mission. Head to PremierUltimateLeague.com to donate today. And we're back. The point having just gotten started. Monarchs moving the disc ahead to J.J. Jarek. Stumbles for just a moment, but resets. Throw just a little bit short. Riley Dixon pulls that out of the air.
I think 5'10", Riley Dixon.
Riley might be taller than I am, and I am as much of 5'10" as you can be.
Little too high for Champ. And
Yep.
Jarek just doesn't even care. Ready to put it to the end zone.
J.J. Jarek, more like doesn't Carrick, and unfortunately that throw going to slip between the hands of Claire Schmidt.
For those who, you know, we missed the beginning of that point. The pull went up. It was caught, centered to.
It was centered.
We can't remember. It was centered, and and then you saw it from there, so you didn't miss much.
Riley airs it out. Shania Rosenthal, and it's just going to be a little bit too far. Riley actually back from injury, though she continued playing, was not kind of at full power with that right hand of hers, but she has been cleared from a thumb injury. And we see her first real opportunity to throw a huck. Almost too much power.
Those cuts moving a little bit too slow. When the disc gets checked in. It's almost like they're waiting for them to check the disc in order to cut instead of starting the cut way earlier.
I can tell you as a former coach, that is a coaching nightmare because it makes your offense feel like it's stagnating. You also don't want to, and I understand that you don't want to burn through a whole bunch of your offensive sets before the disc is in play, but there's a beautiful, beautiful space in the middle where you get legs moving, so that way you're in flow by the time the disc is, checked in. Just a little bit too far for Riley Dixon, number 82, and we're going to get another offensive opportunity here for the Monarchs, and a Thorn picking up on that far sideline. Finds longtime running mate J.J. Jarek in the middle of the field. Disc is continued over to Claire Schmidt. A little bit of crossover on this line. Kat Chen out there. And J.J. is... This might even be a huck and play defense strategy.
JJ catches it. Someone needs to go deep because we know where it's going. I mean, I respect it. You got to do something.
And as our clock ticks down to about 2 minutes left in this contest, Tilo threatens the nutmeg just to keep her defender honest. Disc is swung ahead, and I heard a whistle.
Yeah. Looked like a timeout.
The Red take a timeout. And
how do you think Tilo feels about that?
We'll find out more about how Tilo feels in just a minute. We're going to take a quick break here in Indianapolis. This live broadcast of the Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Breakmark Ultimate Apparel. Go to breakmark.com to place your next custom team order or check out the PUL Athlete Collab shops. And we're back to answer your question from just before our break, KK. I bet Tilo's a little bit peeved because she just cracked it with a beautiful, go-ahead throw to, it looks like Rachel Mast in the backfield with her, I believe. And instead we get the timeout call from Blake Vanderbush, which I understand. A little bit high stall count. You want to get a fresh one. You want to keep things moving.
At this point, you probably have some timeouts to burn.
Might as well use them, recenter as a team. 1 minute, 57 seconds left in this contest. Indianapolis Red looking to go ahead maybe even one more. I don't think we're going to be the first team to 30, which was something I know you had as a secret goal for yourself, KK, but the Red, nonetheless, got to feel good about how they've played in this contest as they continue moving the disc around. A little bit of some hybrid personnel. Skittles Milton out there on this O-line right now. Not loving the spacing in the backfield for the Red. Things a little bit tighter. Matamore having to really move to try to shake Kat Chen. Tilo moves it ahead to Milton. Finds Hobday just outside of the goal and dishes it without a second thought to Kat McGuire. Advantage is back to 12 for the Indy Red, 25-13 over Milwaukee.
Wow. Probably 1 or 2 more points left. Red coming out on defense. I would imagine Monarchs maybe implementing some clock strategy, or at least practicing their clock strategy at this point, ending the game with a buzzer beater.
If I'm the Monarchs coaching staff, when I'm going back and reviewing film of this game, I may not even bother with the film of the first half and just start with the third quarter onward, where things have felt, despite the disparity in score, much more even between the two teams.
Yeah, definitely even energetically for sure. At least more even. I don't know if it's not necessarily become even. But I think there was a, well, we got nothing to lose mindset probably in one of their team huddles. And so when the pressure is off, you can play lighter.
100%.
But the trick is, how do you play with that mentality from the start of the game? So maybe they learned something here and they can take that to the rest of their season. Slow
starting is one of the biggest killers in all of sports, and we've really seen that on display here. But on that last possession, Erica Watson, after getting the dish from Sydney French, rocketing a flick downfield, and gorgeous huck reeled in by the Monarchs, and they trim the lead back to 11, 25-14. Advantage red. Taking a moment here to shout out all of our fans who have been here supporting us in Indianapolis. Thank you so much. Shout out to all of you who have tuned in on the live stream. Thank you again for your love and support. None of this happens without you, and all of this is done for you and for these players participating today. So if you're out here in the stands and watch this back later, give yourselves a pat on the back. Thanks for being here and supporting us. And shout out to Kuntz Stadium for hosting today's doubleheader between the PUL, the Indy Red, and for the UFA, for the Indy Alley Cats, coming up next.
All the parents, mothers out there, happy Mother's Day weekend. And all the mamas on the field, too.
For all the mamas on the field, absolutely. Including new mama Indy Red Zone, Kelly Kirker.
Very exciting.
And speaking of mamas, Makeda Matamore reels in another goal.
Wow, really stretching that one.
Yeah, I'm going to see myself out here in about 51 seconds of game time. Yeah, as we see that Shani takes just an opportunity, puts a backhand up. Matamore adjusts her line, just taking a little bit more upfield and reels in that goal from Shani. That is the way that the whole game has felt. It's tiny adjustments by the Red to execute at an even higher level on the things that they're already doing so well.
Only 30 seconds have gone by and both teams have scored. Just seems as though offense is taking over, defense is slacking a little bit, feeling the game wind down. Let's see if Red has any strategy to stop any deep throws.
Anna Thorne advancing the disc ahead.
Schrader's hands. Ooh, I would imagine they probably want a Schrader backhand. But instead they get a Schmidt flick. Taking like 15 seconds to score these points at the end of the game here.
Yeah, Anna Stubbs just got all the space in the world off of Eliza Hutchings. Most importantly, though, Eliza Hutchings back out on the field for the first time, going off several points ago with an injury. Nice to see her finish this game out, though no fun to come back out from an injury and get scored on immediately, I'm sure. We're getting the pure offense version of my least favorite thing in all of sports, which is in professional basketball when you get down to the last 2 minutes and it's just all stoppages for fouls. Mm-hmm. This is that, except it's just pure scoring, which I guess is fine.
I'd rather have pure scoring rather than, drops or throwaways constantly.
I'd agree with that wholeheartedly. Luckily, our own monarch of clock management, Tracy Lowe, back out on the field for the Indy Red, and it's going to start with a rolling pull, disc advance to Tilo, and let's stop and see how much of the clock Tilo uses at any given time on this point. Disc ahead to McGuire. That McGuire-Chan matchup has been incredible since we got it going.
Still 20 seconds left at the end of the quarter, which seems to go stretch long for Indy Red. They've been working points really quick.
Disc just too far for Jello, and with the clock has stopped.
It does stop with the last 2 minutes in the fourth quarter for any stoppage of game.
And there it is. The disc picked back up, clock restarts, and the Monarchs
is at 0, but I do think that they probably started the clock a little bit later. So I don't think that would affect anything.
But at the end of our contest today, with a buzzer beater by the Monarchs, the Indianapolis Red are victorious 26-16 and have started a 2-game winning streak.
Zeros. They caught that disc right at zeros.
Well, the story of today was high-powered, determined, and intentional offense from the Indy Red, crushing defense from the Indy Red, and maybe a few more questions than answers about where they're going to get some scores on from the O-line of the Milwaukee Monarchs. There's plenty to feel good about if you're the Monarchs. The play of Aaron Schrader, the play of Connie Chan, your ability to re-energize when things get dire. Hopefully they use today and they look forward to how can we solve our slow start problem and really take things in the direction that we want them to going forward. Anything else you want to leave us with, KK?
Nope, that's perfect. Thank you.
Well, again, your final today, Indianapolis Red 26, Milwaukee Monarchs 16. For Kristen Kovic, I'm Charlie Lowe, and we'll see you next time.